Okay, algebra. This is the last section of the chapter. This is section 6.6. And it's a lot easier than what 6.5 was. You will probably like this one a lot better. But we are solving radical equations, so we're going to have equal signs involved and getting square roots by themselves and undoing and solving for x and that type of thing. So like we're looking at problems that look like this. This is example 1, and we're just looking at solving for x. So just undoing the equation, and it's just basic algebra, okay? But I'm going to have you go up here to these steps. They have step 1, 2, and 3, but the very, very, very most important step is this first one, isolating the radical. Okay, and the radical being like the square root or the cubic root or whatever. Isolate the radical. That is huge. That is the most important thing, okay? And then you solve it from there, okay? Step 2 and step 3, those just kind of flow after that. But isolating the radical, that's the first main step, okay? So I'm going to kind of follow their steps because their steps aren't too bad to follow, okay? So when we isolate the radical, we want to get this radical by itself. So I want to ultimately solve for x, but in order to do that, I have to get this part by itself, which means this 2 has to get kicked to the other side. And I'm going to subtract 2 to kick him to the other side. So this square root of 3x minus 5 is equal to, putting those together, that's 4. Okay, now, the deal here is, if I have a square root, I want to undo it. And the thing that undoes a square root or inverts a square root, like the inverse of a square root, is to square it. But if I do that, I have to do that to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to square both sides, and a square and a square root cancel each other out. So this is just 3x minus 5. It just like falls out of the square root. And then 4 squared is 16. And then I just do my basic algebra from there. So I'm going to add the 5. That gets rid of him, plus 5. So they're missing a step here. 3x is equal to 16 and 5 is 21. And then I divide by 3, so x is 7. And that is what I get for an answer, okay? So again, those steps are get the radical isolated, then get rid of the square root by squaring, right? And then just do the algebra from there, okay? All right, going down to example 2. Here's the deal. They sometimes will do this to you, the 1/3 power. And what that means is the 1/3 power means the cubic root. The 1/2 power means the square root. Maybe I should write that over here. Like x to the 1/2 power equals the square root of x. Write this down. X to the 1/3 power means the cubic root of x. X to the 1/4 power means the fourth root of x. X to the 1/5 power means the fifth root of x, etc., right? I can keep going, dot, 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 all the way down, okay? So the 1/3 power is the cubic root of x. Now, this is what gets people all the time. The 4 is attached to this junk, but the only thing that's underneath of the cubic root is the stuff that's in parentheses. So this will look like, let's see where we are here. Ouch, quit doing that. I have a little baby that's trying to like claw my face. Okay, the cubic root, this is the cubic root of just this stuff. The 4 is on the outside of that, okay? So I'm going to write him, do I have enough steps? Are you going to wake up? You're done sleeping? Okay, I'm going to put that over here so that we have enough room because I don't like their work. We have 4, and we've got the cubic root of 2x plus 6, and minus 9 equals 3. So I've changed that 1/3 power to the cubic root, okay? Now, important thing, isolate the radical. This is my radical that I have to isolate, okay? So I've got to get rid of the 9, and I've got to get rid of the 4. The 9 goes first, so I'm going to add the 9 over, all right? That, my next step. And if you want to like not write out each step and do like 2 steps at once, that's fine. 3 and 9 is 12. Okay, then I still have to isolate the radical. That's this guy right here. So I'm going to divide by 4 to do that. 4's are going to cancel. So now I have the cubic root of 2x plus 6, and that's equal to 3. Okay, now the radical is isolated. Yay! But to get rid of a cubic root, I cube it. I take it to the 3rd power, right? That's going to make this cancel out. And I just have 2x plus 6, okay? Now, be careful of this. 3 to the 3rd power is not 9. It's not 3 times 3. 3 to the 3rd power means 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times. That is, I just said not 9. 27. Okay, now I'm going to undo and solve for x. So I'm going to subtract the 6. And 2x is equal to, hey, 21 again. But when I divide by 2, that's not a nice number. It is 10.5 or 10 and a half. I don't care how you write it, but there's that, okay? So, same thing with a cubic root. You're just going to cube it at the end, but you're going to isolate the radical first, okay? All right, we're going to skip a couple of these. We're going to skip example 3. Let's go to example 4. We're going to do example 4 and example 5, and then we'll be done, okay? All right, so example 4, this is to the 1/6 power, okay? And the 1/6 power means the 6th root. The 6th root, but the only thing that's to the 6th root is this stuff in parentheses. It's not the 2/3. The 2/3 just is hanging out. So I'm going to put 2/3, and I'm going to do the 6th root of 11x plus 14. And then I've got my plus 8 on the outside just chilling, equals 10. Okay? All right. Did I do everything? Yep, I did. Okay. So I've got my 6th root chilling there. All right. I need to isolate the radical. This is my radical. So I've got to get rid of the 2/3, and I've got to get rid of the 8. Okay? And order of operations, I'm going to subtract the 8 first. What are you doing? I've got a helper. Okay. What? Yes. Courtney. Crazy. Crazy girl. Okay, so my 2/3 is just going to chill. I've got my 6th root, 11x plus 14. If I subtract that 8 over, now I have 2, because 10 minus 8 is 2, and this is gone. Okay, then the next thing I have to do is get rid of the 2/3, okay? So I'm going to divide by 2/3, but instead of doing that, I'm not going to write it like that. I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2. Dividing by a fraction, I can instead multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to cancel him here, right? Like the 2's cancel and the 3's cancel. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2, okay? All right, this gets quite a few people. Typically, kids are hard at doing fractions and multiplying these together. 2 as a fraction is 2 over 1. So if I multiply 2 times 3, that is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. This is 6 over 2, which is just 3. Or you can do this. The 2's will cancel, so this is just 3 over 1, which is 3, right? That's how you multiply those fractions together. Sometimes my algebra kids, or even my older kids, some of my juniors and seniors really struggle with that sometimes, okay? All right, radical is isolated. That's one of my steps. Now, to get rid of the 6th root, I take it to the 6th power. That cancels, but I have to take the 3 to the 6th power. So 11x plus 14, he drops down, okay? And 3 to the 6th power. I have a dumb calculator, so I'm going to do some of this by myself. That means 6 of them, right? All right, so here's how I do this. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 to the 6th power is the same thing as saying 9 to the 3rd power, right? There's 3 9s. I know that this is 81, so I just have to take 81 times 9, which is 729, I believe. Yes, I think that is right. 729 is what 3 to the 6th power is. Okay, 729, now I just do the math. Subtract your 14. Okay, and 11x is going to be equal to 715. Now I've got to do some math on my calculator because I don't know if that divides really nicely. If I divide by, oh, it does divide nicely. If I divide by 11, I get 65. So x is 65. Cool. There you go. It came out nice. Okay, just remember, anytime you have a fractional exponent like this, that just means the root, that root, okay? And it's only to the root of the stuff that's in parentheses, okay? All right, last one, example 5, and then we'll stop. They're having us do solving radicals by graphing. I'm just going to do it the algebra way. We're just going to solve this using algebra. So I'm going to stick him over here, and we've got, hey, cubic root, 3x minus 4. Plus 10 equals 9. Here we go. Okay, now this is a cubic root. And so we need to isolate the radical. The radical is this guy. Everything that's underneath of that square root, or that cubic root. I'm going to subtract the 10 first, which is going to give me a negative number. 2 cubic root, 3x minus 4. That is to the negative 1st power. Okay, now wait a second. Wait a second. I didn't think you could have negative numbers. If you're doing a cubic root, you can get a negative number to come out. The cubic root of something can give you a negative number, so that works. I still need to divide by 2, though, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do the cubic root of 3x minus 4 equals negative 1/2, or you can write it as negative 0.5. I don't care what you do. Okay, now I'm going to cube it. I'm going to take it to the third power, right? 3x minus 4 equals. Okay, I'm taking this guy to the third power. And if you need to write that out, that's negative 1/2 times negative 1/2 times negative 1/2. Hey, stop. You're being loud and noisy. Okay, 3 negatives are going to keep it negative. Negative, negative, negative. That's going to keep it negative. Then I do 1 times 1 times 1 is 1 on the top. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 on the bottom. So that is 1/8, right? Like negative 2 to the third power is negative 8. So negative 1/2 to the third power is negative 1/8. Okay, now last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 4. Okay, so I get 3x equals negative 1/8, and 4 is going to be 3 7/8, something like that. And if I divide by 3, oh, this is disgusting. Okay, first, come on, sister. What I can do first is 3 7/8. Okay, you go over here. You go over there. 3 7/8. If I multiply the 3 and the 8 together, that is 24. And if I add the 7, that is going to be 31/8. Okay, and I'm dividing by 3. 3/1 is a fraction, so I can multiply by 1/3 instead. I like keep flip him to the top. So that is going to be 31/24. Ugh, that's disgusting. I'm going to leave him like that. You can make him a decimal. So 3 7/8 is whatever that is. Calculator. 3 7/8 is like 3.6. No. I don't know. 0.875. So this is 3.875 divided by 3. Okay. And that as a decimal is 1.2916 repeating, which is what 31 divided by 24 is. Yeah, there you go. So either way you want to look at it. If you want to look at it the hard, complicated fraction way, or you can do it as a decimal, I don't care. Either way, okay? Just give me, if you're going to do decimals, give me a couple of them, like 3 at least, 3 decimal places, okay? So there's that. That was a little bit junky with the fractions involved, but it's the same procedure, right? You know, isolate the radical, take it to the third power, etc. Okay? Skip example 6 and example 7. Here is the homework problems that I want you to do for tomorrow. So there is that, okay? All right, there you go.